Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jack, this is Jthbooks, and it is time, are you ready for this? For the June reading wrap up, in which I actually read some books. Yeah, you heard that correctly, the reading is back. I managed to read 4 novels and 4 comic books this month, so in total 8 books, and I loved it. I had a great time. I didn't love all the books, in fact I had 2 of my worst reads of the year. Stay tuned to find out what they are, but I loved, once again, the act of reading and the joy it brings me. And I'm just so happy that it's back. And I'm sure you're all happy. Well, I hope you're all happy anyway, because I hope no one enjoyed me being miserable and not reading, because the last wrap up was 5 minutes long because I hadn't read a single thing. But yeah, I'm just really happy that it's back. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just, things have calmed down a little bit, and I managed to read again, so thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. Like I said, I did read 2 of the worst books I've read this month. But it's weird because I did hate them, but just even reading them and wanting to pick up a book, and even when I've just been in the biggest reading slump of my life, like even to finish reading books I really hated was an achievement. I'm going to say that. I'm absolutely going to pat myself on the back there. But should we just talk about the books, because we do have 8 to get through. But I'm going to group the comics together because I sort of read them all back to back. So if you saw my TBR for July, I'll link it down below. We want fantasy. We wanted fantasy. And on that is the third Game of Thrones book. And that is because the first book out of my reading slump was The Clash of Kings by George R. Martin, the second in the Song of Ice and Fire series. And was it a mistake, maybe, to pick a 900-page book to get me out of reading slump? Yes, maybe. But did it work? Absolutely. I mean, the first half is a slog. The person at work who gave me the first one, we're on this journey together, like, we talk about it all the time. She's like, how you doing? What are you up to? Are you doing all right? Blah, blah, blah. So it's really, really fun to talk in real time with her about these books. But the first half was a bit of a slog. It was probably because of the story and how it just takes a while to get going, but also because of me. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. I just quoted Taylor Swift, and I don't like Taylor Swift. But yeah, other than that, loved it. I still enjoyed the first half. It was just a bit like, come on, George, get the story going. But other than that, loved it. Loved to see the differences between the TV show. They're really sort of coming now. The first book was very similar, but we had a few different endings for characters. We got to meet characters we hadn't met yet. Still waiting for a Cersei perspective, but we did get a couple of new perspectives, which, first off, I was not happy about, but then they turned out all right. So yeah, I plan to read the third one in July. I'm excited to carry on this journey. Also, I'm not telling you what it's about because obviously it's the second in a series, and whether you haven't read them yet or you want, it's just, I wouldn't want to spoil it for you, but they're good. They're good friends. Secondly, I read Fence, volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. I only have 3 here because I could not find number 1, which is ridiculous. It's in my bedroom somewhere, but at the moment, I cannot find it. But in this, we follow Nicholas, who is sort of an underdog fencer, and he gets a chance to fence the sort of the second brightest star in the fencing up-and-coming world. And he loses abysmally, but he does get a point, and no one's got a point from him from a long time. And then as the series goes on, we get to see them trying out together to join a boarding school fencing team, and they both make the team. And I assume it's sort of going to turn into a bit of a romance. I'm not sure. It's a very slow burn. They sort of like don't really like each other at the minute, and but they're sort of forced to be roommates, so you get in that forced proximity trope. But I really enjoyed them. I had a huge thank you to my family for gifting me all of these. I really, really enjoyed them. I loved the story. I loved him trying to better himself, and the enemies to sort of friends and maybe to lovers. I'm still really intrigued by that. It's sort of happening really naturally. It's just they're just great stories. I really like the art style. They're really, really beautiful. Yeah, I'm actually really surprised how much I love them. And I need 5, 6, and 7 now. I'm going to have to treat myself to 5, 6, and 7 because I want to carry on the story. Yeah, I really loved them. And you read them in like half an hour, and that was perfect. That was really perfect for me this month. But such a great series. I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to carry on. Then I read Indivisible by Daniel Aylman. Now, if you've been here a while, you know I say I don't really read YA anymore, but this is a YA book. In this, we follow Matteo, whose parents are hunted down by ICE and they get deported. And I just wanted to read this because it is such a timely book. You know, we see on the news all the time of what's happening in America with ICE and people being taken from their homes and their jobs and their lives and their families. I don't want to sound ignorant because I know it's not just in America. I know we have a different immigration here in the UK with the boats coming. I've spoken about this before. You know, you're never going to convince me a person's illegal. Sorry. But yeah, I just thought it was a really timely read. And this was really, really moving. And this is the kind of YA I like because he was sort of still a teenager and he still acted like a teenager and he sort of got to fall in love for the first time still. But it had so much more. It had so much depth. It was really timely and it was really poignant. And it was heartbreaking to read. It was absolutely heartbreaking, sort of how they had him and he had to look after his younger sister and they had to struggle on their own and how struggle being taken away from their parents and everything they've ever known. It was really, really moving and it's been on my TBR for a really long time and I'm really glad I actually finally picked it up and read it, and I just couldn't think of a better time to read it because when you see clips of it on the news and on TikTok and Instagram, whatever, you can just scroll away. But I think it's the power of fiction and the power of storytelling that really sets it home. And it's just horrible. It's just horrible. But this was a really, really good book. And I'm so glad I finally read it. Up next, I read Friends of Dorothy by Sandy Toksvig. Now, Sandy Toksvig here is a presenter here in the UK who is a very intelligent, very funny woman, and I'm sort of obsessed with her. And when I saw she was releasing this book, I had to have it. It was signed by Sandy Toksvig, and in this we follow, can't remember the names, Amber and Stevie, who have just bought a house in this place called Grimaldi Square, and when they move in, the person they bought it from is still living there, and she won't leave. And the story goes from there. You get to meet sort of their friends and their neighbours. And I hated it. I really, really hated it. It was almost ridiculous how they sort of just accept this woman being in their house. Like, imagine you move into a house and you go upstairs and she's just sitting there. She's like, yeah, I'm not going to leave. And they don't sort of call the police. They don't really do anything. And they just accept her and then they become sort of friends and family. And I know it was meant to be moving and I know it just wasn't. It just wasn't. And Stevie had a best friend called Jack and he was really annoying and he was obsessed with pleasuring himself, and that really annoyed me because that's my name. My name is Jack. So that was bloody annoying. But it just felt, it was trying to be funny, it was trying to be witty, it was trying to be cozy, it was trying to be sentimental, and none of it came off. It felt to me like like a sort of, I don't know how to phrase it, but I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I'm really surprised that I didn't like it and really upset almost. And when I put it on Instagram that I didn't like it, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's linked down below. But other people said, yeah, I didn't like it. And somebody said I'm reading her memoir and it's made me like her less, which I have her memoir there, which I'm probably going to get rid of now. But I can't, really upset, really, really upset that I didn't like this at all. It was just, and the ending's ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. I really didn't like it. Bought a signed copy of this. It must have cost me like £22, and I didn't like it. But that's the risk we take with books, you know. That's the risk we take. I still read it really quickly, actually, considering I didn't like it. And then lastly, I read Bathhouse by PJ Vernon. In this, we follow a man named Oliver, who is a recovering addict, and one night he decides to cheat on his boyfriend and go to a bathhouse, and there he is nearly murdered. And the story goes on from there. And you might be thinking, goodness, that sounds a bit ridiculous. Tip of the iceberg. That is the tip of the iceberg. it's ridiculous. First of all, you have to read this book and you have to see these two people who are together and they're not married, but they call each other their husbands. They don't even really like each other. But you have to, so when that's the crux of the story, and you think, well, they don't like each other. Why are we going through all this? Because they don't even like each other. They sort of pretend to like each other, or they're just used to each other, but they do not like each other. There is no way you can convince me that they would, because they don't. So it was just ridiculous from there, and it just keeps getting more and more and more absurd. And there is a twist at the end, but I did see it. I never see it coming. You know that. If you've been here a while, you know I don't see things coming. But I did see it coming because I think he sort of dropped hints throughout, and I did pick up on them. But that was the most sort of interesting part of the story, and it was over in like 4 or 5 pages. It was like the last chapter, and you could have explored that so much more. And to get there was a real slog of ridiculousness and just... it was just ridiculous. Oh my God, I can't believe I actually read it. I've owned this one for so long. What I do like about all these books here, is I've had them on my TBR for quite a while. And because I wasn't reading the month before, I was just, and had no sort of, well, I probably did have a plan for this month. I probably had a TBR, but I've ignored it now. But I was just picking stuff up. But I thought, yeah, let's pick that up. I obviously bought it at some point. I wanted to read it. Let's get it off my TBR. And let's get some books out of my house, because while we were in that reading slump there, I nearly got rid of all the books in this house. I was like, no, they've all got to go. I had the urge just to empty the shelves. I obviously didn't. You can see them behind me. But I am glad to have read it so I can get rid of it. But it was just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I just didn't like it. The writing was nothing special. It wasn't sort of hooky. It didn't like keep you hooked or anything. It was meant to, but it doesn't. Also, I don't like the story for all those reasons I just said. Also, because I wouldn't want it to happen to me. I don't like that kind of thing. And like, okay, he tried to kill him, but then he kept finding him on the apps, and then he showed up at his house. I told you it got ridiculous, didn't I? I told you. And he just almost wouldn't leave him alone, and he was sending him tapes, and I just think, oh, just try and murder me and you fail and leave me alone. I could handle that, but don't keep coming after me. Of course, then at the end, we find out why. But, actually, well, don't try murder me. No one, please try murder me. But if you're going to, just fail and leave me alone. Don't keep trying. Oh, ridiculousness. Absolutely ridiculous. Hated this book with every ounce of my being. And this one. Hated them, hated them, hated them. Sandy, you let me down. PJ, you let me down. So, there we have it. All 8 books I read, even though I was only holding 7 because I cannot find one. I really can't find it. Can't even imagine where it would be. But it's got to be in this room somewhere, hasn't it? Because did I read it outside this room? I might have read it when I was cooking dinner. No, that was the 4th one. Anyway, you don't need to know that. You don't need to know I was reading while I was cooking dinner. Let me know how many books you read this month. Whether you read any of these. Let me know the last book you hated. I just want to thank you all so much for watching. No, I'm not ready to say that yet. Just pleased to be back reading. Are you pleased I'm back reading? Let me know in the comments. Tell me how pleased you are for me, because that will make me smile. Desperate there. That was a bit of desperation, wasn't it? Like, begging for your love, that basically wasn't it? We'll ignore that. I should have just wrapped it up. Let's wrap it up. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. That will really, really help the channel. And I'm going to see you all really, really soon.